Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well this evening. Finally back for another Tom Talk Live. It's been difficult for me for some reason to kind of keep consistent with them, but I am working on it. So hopefully I'll be able to keep going with these on a more regular basis. But it is Friday. It's been a long week for me anyway, and I'm glad to be at the weekend. I hope you are too. I have kind of a cool topic, I think, that I'm hoping will be something that you are interested in. That'll be something that maybe you get some value from. But it's kind of stemming from this idea that I've been kind of thinking about for a while now about, like, why do we not really go after the things that we want most in life? And I was reading some statistics somewhere. I put it in the comment on the post earlier. I can't remember what the percentage, but it's like in the 90s, like 92%, something crazy high of people, 92% of people don't ever actually achieve their bigger goals, which is just crazy to me to think about that, right? Like, that's like the vast majority of us never really achieve our bigger goals. Now, we, of course, like the smaller goals and stuff, I'm sure I'm not really, I'd have to dig into that study and where they get that statistic from. So I get it. Sometimes, there's just those numbers out there that people throw out. And it's like, where did that come from? But just, I believe it. Like, I believe to an extent that, the vast majority of us do not actually ever achieve or really probably even go after those bigger dreams, those bigger goals that we have. And so it got me thinking, like, what is it that holds us back? Why is it that we're not going after those things that we want most? I almost forgot to turn my chat on. Let me turn the chat on real quick. I can. So you guys feel free to stop in, say hello, hang out with me for a little bit. And okay, I got the comments open. So if you leave comments, I should be able to see them now, hopefully. All right. But anyway, so what I would like you to do is, as we're going through this live stream together, um, if you're willing to, I'd like you to put in the comments what your bigger goals are. Like, what is something that you've always wanted to do that you've never actually gone after? And then maybe as we're going through these, because I'm going to be talking about these three things that hold us back, what is it that holds you back? I love my wife. She always joins in. I appreciate you. Thank you. Um, but yeah, so what is it that you really, really want? And what is it that's holding you back? So I'm going to be talking about the three things holding you back. And not just you, it holds me back too. And honestly, that's kind of where these came from. So as I was thinking about this topic, I was really reflecting on my own journey, right? The things that I try to do and thinking about, like, why do I not really follow through with these things? Why do I not really go after these things as much as I would like to? And really achieve them. And so as I was kind of thinking through it, I came up with three things that I think are just the common things that tend to hold us back. And I imagine this is pretty common. I see this time and time again. I've seen this through coaching, different clients that I've had and worked with. It seems to be these same things that keep popping up, these same stories that we tell ourselves. And so I kind of wanted to go over these three things that I believe are holding you back. The first one is fear. Now, this is a no brainer, right? Fear is probably the thing that holds us back the most. What is it that we're afraid of? Where does this fear come from? It's such a huge part of our lives. And I think it's one of those things that we don't like to talk about a whole lot. But if we really were able to dig down deep, we would see that I think most of the time, in some shape or form, it's fear that's really holding us back. So, what is it exactly that we're afraid of? So, when it comes to our goals, when it comes to really chasing after those things that we want most, how is fear keeping us from going after it? Well, maybe it's a fear of failing, right? That makes sense, right? We're afraid that if we try it, if we go after it, then we'll fail. It won't work out. And then a number of things might happen, right? So if we fail, then maybe we'll look foolish. We'll feel like we're going to look stupid in front of the people that we care about, or even people that we don't care about, right? They're going to see us. They're going to see us as failures, and we'll look foolish, right? Nobody wants to look foolish, and so that's a real fear, right? Or maybe it's fear of letting people down. Maybe we're worried that people are going to be counting on us and we're not going to be able to come through for them in this thing that we're trying to do. So it's a fear of letting others down. Or maybe we're afraid of just wasting our time, right? Like we put effort in, we try it, it fails. So it's like, what was the point of that? Like, why did I even go through all that if it was just going to fail, right? So it's just a waste of time. And then I think if we were to really take a moment to go deeper and maybe even be vulnerable, I think there's a degree of it that the fear is that, like, if I fail at this, then what if that means there's something wrong with me? Like, what if in some way that's showing that I'm not good enough in some way, right? So maybe that's part of that fear that's there. And there is probably a lot more of these that go along with fear. These are the ones that I came up with, right? So these are feelings that I've experienced, things that I've thought, stories that I've told myself. This idea of being afraid of going after it because I'm afraid it's going to fail. And then what's kind of funny too is that it's not just even a fear of failure. There's also a certain amount of fear that it might work out, right? There's a certain amount of fear that, like, what if it actually is successful? Like, what if I do it? Like, what if I make it? What if this happens? Then what are the repercussions of that, right? Like, what if things change in ways that I wasn't expecting? What if I have new responsibilities? What if I have new expectations? Right. So sometimes there's a fear not of failing, but a fear of succeeding, and then that has implications on our lives. And what does that mean now that am moving into this new unknown area? Right. So I think there's a fear that goes along with that too. And again, it goes back to this fear is really in our minds. And you're going to see that's true with all of these things that I'm going to be talking about tonight, is that these are all things in our mind, right? These are not real barriers as far as external things that are keeping us from doing what we want to do. 99% of the time, we're the ones stopping ourselves, right? So if we really want to go after it, we're the ones that have to get out of our own way, right? It's not to mean there's not going to be other external barriers. There's not going to be challenges. There's not going to be things that get in the way. There's always going to be those things too. But before we can even get to those things, we have to deal with ourselves, right? We have to deal with those internal barriers that we're putting up, those stories we're telling ourselves that are holding us back and keeping us from being able to actually move forward. And so when we start to recognize that, when we start to recognize that this fear is not, there's no danger here, right? Fear is a good thing. It keeps us alert. It keeps us to recognize things that are actually dangerous to us. But fear also shows up in ways that are not healthy when there isn't a danger and we still have fear, right? So we have to learn how to handle that. We have to learn how to kind of move forward and move past those things. So how do we deal with that? Well, of course, fear, if you have fear, then you need courage, because the fear is going to be there, right? We have to have courage to face it. We have to have courage to move through it. We have to have courage to take action in spite of it. And so courage is one of those things that is really necessary if we are going to go after what we really want in life. We have to have courage. And so it doesn't mean that there's not fear. Again, it's not that there's an absence of fear. It's in spite of the fear. And really, when we start thinking about what is it that we're really afraid of, especially when it comes to failing, right? A fear of failure is the only way we truly fail is if we don't try, right? You miss 100% of the shots that you never take. And so if we never even give it a shot, we've already failed, right? We've never even tried, we've never even attempted. So of course that's not going to be successful. So even if we're attempting it, and I did a live stream on this not too long ago about the idea that it's impossible to fail. How to Never Fail Again, I think is what I titled it. Because the idea is it's just a mindset shift, right? If we start to understand that just going through with it, even if it quote unquote fails, right, doesn't mean that it's actually a failure. It means that we have learned something. It means that we have more information to go on now than we did before, because we took action, we experienced things, We learned through those experiences, and now we're going to be able to utilize that and move forward in a more productive way. So, in a lot of ways, we just have to reframe it. We have to reframe that fear of failure, understanding that, yeah, it's possible it might not go the way we want, but it's possible it might go the way we want. And even if it doesn't, we're still going to learn from it and adapt and continue to improve and do better. So, eventually, it will succeed, right? If we keep on it, if we keep at it, eventually we'll get there. So that's the first one, right? Talking about fear, talking about the courage that is needed to face the fear. I think that's a huge one. If we were able to kind of deal with our fears, we'd really be unstoppable, right? I mean, how much are we held back because of the fear that we have? I know it is true for me, right? I know there's so many things in my life that I would excel at so much more if I was able to better deal with that fear. And sometimes it's a struggle, right? Some things are easier to handle than others, but that fear is real. And so if we learn to master that in our lives better, how much more productive we'll be, how much happier we'll be because we'll be able to move past it. So fear. And then the second one I want to talk about is uncertainty. Uncertainty. And this is a natural one too, right? This makes sense that part of the problem might be that we're just not really sure what we should do, right? So when it comes to those bigger goals, those dreams, those bigger aspirations, those things that we really want in our life, we might have kind of a general idea, like a vague idea, but we're not really sure on the steps. We're not really sure what does that actually look like. I know I want kind of this broad general concept. I want to have more peace in my life, or I want to be able to feel more secure, or all these things. And we kind of have it as this kind of general feeling. But what does it actually mean? Like, how do I pursue that? What do I need to do? What are concrete steps I can take? We might be uncertain about that. We might not be sure. And so that can be a big barrier in being able to do anything, especially if we can't get past that, if we can't figure that out. Then what do we really do if we don't have actual steps we can take? So you might not know what you really want. You might need to take some time to reflect on that and think, what is it that I really want in life? I'd like for you to think about that right now. If you're watching this, take a moment just to kind of sit and reflect. Take a moment to think, what do I really, truly want for my life? Because here's the thing, like we just get the one, right? We only get the one life. What are we going to do with it? You can't start over, right? You don't get a do-over. You have to make the most of what you got. And so what do you want? What are you going to go for? That's the question. And so if you're uncertain, if you're not sure what you want, then obviously what you need is clarity, right? Clarity would be the solution to uncertainty. And clarity is not always easy to find, right? Clarity takes work. It takes digging down deep. It takes spending time reflecting and thinking. And it's also something that we grow in, right? As we begin to look deeper, we start to get clearer on what it is that we want. And this one's actually going to be kind of paired with the third one. So when we get to the third one, I'll talk about how clarity fits in with it. Really, all three of these fit together, right? So the fear, the uncertainty, and then we'll look at that last one. They all kind of feed off each other. They all kind of blend together. And the solutions also go together. So we're going to talk about that in here in just a minute. So if you have uncertainty, obviously clarity is what you need to get. You need to get clear about not just what the things that you want are, but how to achieve them. What are the actual steps that you need to take to be able to move forward towards your goals? So we've talked about fear, we've talked about uncertainty, and then the last one is routine. Routine. Now this might be kind of odd, right? You might have thought like, why that doesn't really fit with the other two. Why is he talking about routine? Routines can be good, right? You can be in good routines, but also you can be in bad routines. So routine, what I mean by this is we kind of get into these patterns, right? We kind of get into those routines where you're just kind of going about your day. You're not spending a lot of time thinking about it. You're not spending a lot of time reflecting. You're just kind of going through the motions. That's what I mean by routine. And routine can, again, be a good thing if you have good routines, and part of your routine is reflecting and doing all of these good practices. But a lot of times we get into routines where we're just not even thinking about it. We're just going through the motions. Um, it's almost like we're on autopilot, right? Where we're not really thinking about where we're going. We're just kind of going. Have you ever done that before? This has happened to me many times, and it's kind of scary when you think about it. Have you ever been driving and you know where you're going, and your mind wanders, you're thinking about something else, and you get to your destination and you suddenly realize, I don't know how I got here. I don't really have much memory of actually driving. Like our minds go into autopilot. We're just kind of going, right? And sometimes this happens where I end up going to a place that I wasn't actually intending, right? If I meant to go somewhere else, and then I just have a place that I typically go to, sometimes my mind will just go into autopilot and want to take me to that place, and I'll be like, "What? Where am I going? I missed my turn because I was just on autopilot and I wasn't thinking about my destination." The same thing can happen in life, right? The same thing can happen in life where if we're not taking the time to think about, where do I want to go? What is my destination? Where am I trying to get to? We'll just go on autopilot, and we'll just keep going through the same cycles, doing the same things over and over again. And it makes the time go by fast, right? If we're not careful, right? Days turn into months, turn into years, and all of a sudden, all this time has gone by, and we're not any further along in what we want to do because we've been stuck in that routine. Tim says that's a good analogy. Autopilot driving. Yep. We do need to be more intentional for sure. So, yeah, I think that's exactly it. Being intentional. And I'm going to talk about it in the way of taking action. So if we think about routine as being a problem that we're dealing with, then I think the thing that breaks that is being intentional about taking action towards the thing that we want, right? So if we've dealt with those first two, right? We've dealt with the fear, we've dealt with the uncertainty. So now we have clarity about what we want. We have to break the routine by actually taking action. And so that's why I think these go together, right? These three things. I don't think you can do just one without the other two. We have to have the courage, we have to have the clarity, and then we have to take action. Because the action is what breaks us from that pattern. It breaks us from that routine, right? It's like momentum, right? If an object is moving, it takes a force acting on it to change its direction. And so that's what action does in our lives. If we're intentional about taking specific actions that are going to push us towards the goal that we want, that's going to help break that cycle. It's going to help break through that routine. And so if we never take action, we can have great ideas, right? We can have these things that we would love to have in our lives, these ideas of, oh, yeah, if I had this, I would love to have that. I really wish I had this in my life. If we're not taking action, it's never going to happen, right? It's never going to materialize. And so often I think we just think that life is just going to hand it to us. Like we're just waiting for the magical day when it just kind of arrives on our doorstep. And that is not going to happen, right? It's just not going to happen. We have to take action and go after it. And the things that are worth the most in life are the things that take the most work to get. And so that's why action is so important. Even if it's small steps, right? Even if it's small action, little by little, it'll start pushing us in the direction of where we want to go. I like this idea, and I wasn't planning on talking about this, but analogy I was just thinking about is that of a sailboat, right? And so in order to get where we want to go, right, in the sailboat, we have to have a heading first, right? We have to have clarity about where we want to go and be able to point the boat in the right direction. But then we need that wind to come and push, right? To fill up the sail and to carry us where we want to go. And that's the action, right? So we can have clarity about the direction, but if we don't have action, then we're just sitting there, right? Our boat's not going where we want it to go, and we won't end up in the destination that we want to arrive in. And so really it comes down to those three things, right? It comes down to our problem, right? The thing that's holding us back is that we're dealing with fear, we're dealing with uncertainty, and we're stuck in our routines. And so the answer to that is dealing with the fear with courage, dealing with the uncertainty with clarity, and dealing with the routine with action. And when we start to do those things, all three of them will start to make progress towards the goal that we really want. And part of the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I really think that a lot of times we need help with this, right? We need help with being able to do this, to have someone come alongside us and work with us towards those goals that we really want. I know it's been helpful in my life. There's been several people that I've turned to that have kind of helped me to find that clarity when I need it, to push me to take the action, to encourage me, right, to have that courage, to be able to push through the fear. My wife has been one of those people, and she's here on the live stream tonight. She's the only one watching me right now, so I appreciate you. And that's what it takes, right? And so I'm starting a group coaching program called Be Bold, and its purpose is around these three things, right? Dealing with these three things and helping you to be able to move past them. And so I think the biggest thing that will come from this program is just that action, right? Actually doing the thing, moving towards and achieving those goals that you want. So if that's something that's interesting to you, if you have this thing that you've wanted to achieve, this thing that you want to go after, I encourage you to reach out to me. I have a free handout that kind of goes along with these points that I've discussed in the live stream here. It's a PDF that I'd be happy to send to you. Just leave me a comment and I'll reach out to you. And then also, if you're interested in the group coaching program, Be Bold, let me know, and I'd be happy to give you more details about it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys are great, and I'll see you in the next one.